you get into real estate, it's all fun and games and dancing in houses and closing photos on Instagram, and it's fun. And it is, but the reality is it takes a lot of work to get there. And if you don't sell, you make no money.
Hey, Taylor. Great to see you, man. Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. It's good to be here. It's always good to talk shop with hardworking people and people that get stuff done. So I'm excited.
I like it. We got to hang out at a mastermind lunch recently. It was great to hear your story. I'm always shocked at how many people are dominating the game that I've never even met before. And so I've heard your name, but it was great to meet you. One thing I like about you is I feel like you've got this grit. You know, you did door-to-door sales at one point in your career selling, I think it was life insurance. You know, a lot of people that are doing real estate are like, oh, it's so hard, it hurts. But I do think there's a level of perspective with that. And some people that have the hardest jobs find it a bit easier. Tell us about that career and how you got into real estate.
Yeah, 100%. Perspective is everything in sales and then also in real estate. So for me, my first couple years out of school, yes, I door knocked small businesses across Northern Virginia, very small businesses, like 1 to 50 employees. And I was selling property and casualty insurance, life and disability insurance. We did a little bit of health insurance. And these are people that are blue collar, contractors, auto repair shops, things like that. And I walk in a suit. I'm a 22-year-old dork, knock on their door, say, hey, can I quote your property and casualty insurance? Hey, what's your personal life insurance like for your life? Meanwhile, the guy's covered in grease or whatever from his day to day. And it was just such a tough sale. And when you're 22 years old, you don't have any skills. You don't have any knowledge. You don't know what you don't know. So when you combine all of that with, you know, a quarter life crisis because you graduate college and you have no idea what the next steps are, that was a really, really tough season of my life. And then I pivoted to a more corporate role for about a year selling software, which was not fun, but it was a good mesh between what I do now, the more, you know, professional meetings, running a business presentation, and then just the grit of door-to-door sales, where I wouldn't say real estate is easy. It's certainly not. And the failure rate's obviously very high. But with my perspective, which what you said, it's a lot easier than door knocking small businesses when you're a 22-year-old.
I love it. I waited tables when I was in high school and college. And I still think that was one of the best things you can do. You get yelled at all the time. You have different people 10 times a night. You get to meet a lot of people, get to talk to a lot of people. But door knocking is another level of you're nervous, you're scared, and you create this ability just to not care in a sense, right? You just don't care. You're like, I'm going to go and I'm going to talk, and it makes things easier. Perspective is key. So that's awesome that you did that. I love the fact that you walked in these businesses who probably been there before in my lifetime. You know, you're just like, hey, how do I squeeze out a little more margin so I can save a little bit more? But you're asking them to spend money on something they're absolutely not thinking about. What was the success rate in something like that? Did you get people that eventually transact?
Yeah. I had a great first couple of years. I was making like 120 grand a year as a 22-year-old, so it was great. But it was tough. I mean, every single day I would drive around Northern Virginia, probably hit 10 to 20 businesses every day, and then make phone calls on Mondays and Fridays as well, trying to solicit appointments. So it was really tough. But what works for me is just foot on the gas pedal, hard work. I'm not the most sophisticated guy in the world. I'm not some super polished business professional, but what I do bring is a central Pennsylvania work ethic down to Northern Virginia. And it's really served me well, just outworking everybody, because I know I can build the skills as I move through the process. But no matter who you are or what your background is, you will not outwork me at the craft. So that's what's worked for me in my life so far.
I love it, man. So how did you decide to say, hey, I'm making good money, I'm going to move on from this? Was your next career move real estate at that point, or was there something in between?
Yeah, so I did that for 2 years. And at that company, the path forward was becoming a district manager. But that role was so awful, where they were in a car, in a hotel 3 nights a week, all over the state, not seeing their family. And they weren't even making 200 grand a year. That's good money, but not for that in sales. So I got into software sales for a year, where there were mid-20s making $500,000 a year. Looked great on paper, but it was a big public company, tech company, very cutthroat, very difficult sales environment, sophisticated product to sophisticated clients, when I just couldn't string those things together. So that didn't work out. But I was going to quit that job and go sell freight services, of all things. Yeah. And then my wife says, she's like, you've always wanted to be in business for yourself. Real estate's something we've always kind of been interested. Why don't you do that instead of another crappy job that you're probably not going to like? And I was like, anytime that she's kind of taken the lead in life, she's always been right. And obviously real estate's blossomed into just an unbelievable career and prosperity for our family so far. So that was my path to get here.
I love it. How long ago was that?
I quit my software job in December of 2019, got my real estate license in February of 2020 when COVID started, and then we were off to the races.
And for those that don't know, I think last year you did around 50 million. Is that right?
46 million and some change. Yep. Didn't quite hit 50, but I was very, very happy with that. My second $40 million plus year in a row.
I mean, quite impressive for an individual agent. I mean, how many deals was that?
Last year was very interesting. It was 52 transactions for 46 point whatever million. So my average price point was over 900,000. My career to date average price point is mid 600s. I don't know. I just feel like the chips fell into place last year where I had some really big deals that all hit at the same time and good opportunities finally came to fruition and just right place, right time. But yeah, 52 deals for 46 million.
And most of those deals are Loudoun area, Ashburn, Fairfax. Does that sound about right? Or tell me that, Gio.
Yeah, it was probably 50-50 Loudoun County, Fairfax County. In a perfect world, I sell 50 homes a year in Loudoun County because I live in Western Loudoun, but thus in real estate, you're always going to be all over the place. So primarily Loudoun, Fairfax, and then some Prince William County.
I remember at the mastermind, you brought up something I'm a big believer in. I think it was Client Giant. Is that right? So
yeah.
You utilize Client Giant. When we started the company, we had 20, 30 customers, and we started using Client Giant to keep in touch with people. Yeah, it got to the point for us, it was really hard because there's not only the real estate agent, but there's an operations person, there's a transaction coordinator, there's assistant. And if you don't include it to everyone, people get mad. But for your world, you know who your buyer is and you know who your seller is. And for those that don't know about Client Giant, can you kind of explain that system and how it works?
Client Giant's an amazing service. It's $125 now per client per year. And they send 4 gifts out, so once a quarter. And these are good gifts. Every quarter, I get a flurry of text messages. Like a few weeks ago, I think it was heat-resistant cooking gloves, where you could, use your grill or grab the meat off the grill and it would protect your hands from the heat. It's a really nice tool. I've gotten text about like lavender, sleep eye masks, really cool calendars, mixing bowls. It's an amazing service you would probably spend that money per gift if you did it yourself. But Client Giant's great because they share those savings with you. You just give them the money, they do it, and the clients love it. It's literally a win-win. It's a great service.
100% agree with you. We were buying gifts for people and then we were trying to ship them. It's like, oh, great. The shipping was $100 on that piece of weird whatever. And so the fact that shipping's included and that you don't have to think about it. And I like that they send the gifts randomly. They're not related. They're not on birthdays and anniversaries when everyone else is doing that. So there's a uniqueness and thoughtfulness to it. Awesome job.
Very few companies I will unequivocally advocate for. So Client Giant, if you want an ad, slide into my DMs and let's do something.
I like that. We actually saw the value of it. And so we went to them and negotiated a discount for real estate agents. So unfortunately, you won't be able to use that because you're a current customer. But for new customers, they get the discount. And I love what you're doing. It's awesome. I believe you talk a lot about, just staying in touch with your clients. And what other ways do you do that, besides Client Giant?
I've got a pretty comprehensive system. It's very simple, but it's very effective. When I go through transactions, first of all, I'm a very, very relationship-based guy. I connect very deeply with my clients very quickly. And we do that at the beginning, through the transaction, and after the transaction as well. So my plan is Client Giant, which touches them once a quarter. I have a weekly email that I send through Constant Contact, which is an actual cool, entertaining, useful email that's just once per week from me. I handwrite it every Sunday morning and it goes out at noon on Sunday. I plug all my buyers and homeowners into a software called HomeBot. It's similar to Zillow's Estimate, Redfin Estimate, but it's a little bit more sophisticated and more interactive where you can plug in your interest rate, your loan balance, play with that. It's a pretty cool way to track your home value and equity. I've got everybody on my social media. We're all connected. I call everybody once or twice a year at least, and everybody also gets a holiday card from me around Thanksgiving, Christmas time. So I think that whole blend of staying in touch quarterly, weekly, daily with social media, a couple times a year, access to HomeBot, and then one personal touch from a nice Christmas card from my family, it's really translated to me building a sphere of influence here in Northern Virginia, but one that is made of genuine relationships that fortunately has thrown me back a lot of business as intended. So it's a really beautiful thing that I think we've kind of put together, me and my clients, this network we have.
Yeah, it's so hard to go out and find a new customer. And the fact that, just diving in deeper to your existing customers will take care of the latter, right? I mean, I love that you do that. It's one thing if you get like a card once a year, it's like, oh, that's nice of them. Maybe I'll call them. But when you're getting like 6, 7, 8 touch points, or if you're doing a weekly newsletter of shit, you're getting 50 touch points a year. Like, I mean, it's hard not to be like, God, I mean, this person is so on top of it. You got to meet Taylor.
Yeah. When I got into real estate, everybody had told me, oh, I do business on referral. Oh, I make $500,000 a year on referral. And I was like, I don't know what that means because the businesses I came from weren't designed like that. So I was like, I'm just going to buy into what everybody's saying. And I'm going to build this. So in year 5, 6, 7, 10, that I'm doing that through referral. I had no idea what that means. No idea what it meant when I got into business. But following that blueprint and doing it the right way has definitely yielded results for me in years 5 and 6. And this is year 7. So see what happens.
I like it. So the weekly newsletter, tell me a little bit about that. You handwrite it. What kind of content is in there?
I keep it really simple, quick and easy, fun. So there's always a property of the week. That's the first of 3 sections, whether that's a really cool property here locally. And it doesn't need to be, it can be a big luxury fancy property, or it can be something cool, a small condo, a cool remodel. Doesn't even need to be here either. I sent a YouTuber's house out in Beverly Hills out a couple of weeks ago. But there's always a property of the week that is interesting and good to click on and fun to flip through because people love looking at unique, good real estate. The second section is either a local business shout out or a monthly raffle that Pearson Smith Realty does, or a vacation spot that we did, or a personal message for me and my family, or a market update, something that's more tailored to me / local. And then the third section is always something going on in my business. It's typically, because last year I sold a house a week basically, so it's either a closing photo or an under contract photo. That's typically what it is every time, and then it's a little blurb about that client's success story. So those are the 3 sections. And then after that, it's just hyperlinks to every single city in Northern Virginia where you can click on all the new listings from that week. And that's it. Again, simple, where it keeps people coming back every week and staying in touch, because I think it's easy to overdo it or underdo it. I mean, you sign up for an email list at, I don't know, Nike or TJ Maxx or whatever at Tyson's Corner, and they hit you every day, twice a day. It's like, fuck off. I don't want emails twice a day with spam. The way that I do it is very genuine. People know it's me writing it, and it's a quick little fun read that I think has been very effective for me. I get about 800 opens per week of real people opening it, so it's pretty cool.
Great. Do you have a marketing person that helps you put that together, or are you doing that yourself? Or?
I don't. I just do it all myself. I took it initially from Ricky Caruth, who's a big realtor influencer in the business. He always touted his weekly email. So again, when I was new, I was like, I'm just going to buy into what the successful people say. And I've been running my weekly email ever since I started. I've never missed a Sunday since I started in May 2020, every single Sunday.
Do you have design abilities over there? Like, what tools are you using to put it together?
So Constant Contact has different templates that you can plug in, and then different art styles that you can throw on there as well. So I spent, a good amount of hours in the beginning setting it up, but once it's set up, it's basically good to go. Now, the performance of their software is shaky at best, but as far as design, solid.
Nice. Tell me a little about HomeBot. You mentioned that and putting your people on it. What kind of alerts is HomeBot giving your clients? Whether it's like, hey, this house was sold in my neighborhood, or what are the alerts? What do they look like for the clients?
Yeah, HomeBot's more of just for the homeowner themselves in terms of tracking equity and tracking estimated home value, right? If I have a client, his name is Ryan, he bought a home for, $695 in Reston last year. He's a very aggressive, hardworking young kid, and he's doing very well. So he's been putting big chunks of money towards his mortgage every month. And then every month I'm tracking these things too. So I get a notification, Ryan just paid down his mortgage balance. Ryan's exploring new markets. Ryan refinanced his home and updated his interest rate. So the homeowners have really good control over their information and being able to see it really clearly. And again, it's just a tool with my little face in the corner, and it's a touch point. Like, oh, this is something Taylor does that's value add after the sale.
Awesome, man. Well, we got a section called rapid fire questions. We're going to throw them out here to you. What's the biggest time waster agents still cling on to?
Biggest time waster today that I see is real pure cold calling, just calling strangers, circle prospecting, just calling people that are around, and door knocking. I personally have never had success with it. More importantly, though, none of the big dog agents that I follow and am friends with, none of them cold call, none of them door knock. It's all about generating new inbound warm leads. It's not cold calling and cold outreach. I think that's a huge waste of time. I know people do it. That's just my opinion based on my career so far.
No, that makes sense. If there was a successful cold calling strategy, because you mentioned just kind of calling anyone, is there, in your opinion, a way to call people that might be likely to sell? And what does that look like?
Cold calling expired listings, that can work. It's grueling and it's awful. Yeah. And again, there's better uses of your time. But I would say cold calling expireds, that's probably your best bet with cold calls. But people will just call, they'll throw 1,000 homes in Chantilly and South Riding on a dialer and call and say, is there anything I can do for you? I just don't find that to be a good use of time at all.
This might tie into that previous question, but most overrated lead source.
The old school Zillow Premier Leads, where you have to pay $500 to $1,000 per phone call you get, basically. And it's just not clear on the Zillow website what the people are even inquiring about. These are not good quality leads. I get better leads for $5 that are pay per click. I think Zillow is moving away from that for good reason. I think that the Flex programs have been amazing for large teams that can get those contracts. And I think the Zillow Premier is going away for a good reason. I don't think it's a good product anymore. It used to be when it was $10 a lead, but now it's become so expensive. It's not a good use of money anymore.
Yeah, good point. What about, you you mentioned pay-per-click. Is that something you manage on your own for yourself? And is that done through Google or Meta or both?
Yeah, there's a company called Commissions Inc. where they set you up a good website. Mine was findnovahomelistings.com, where people can just come, inquire, put their information in, and they can just surf around on the website and look at homes and you get their information. So I've done a bunch of deals that way. I'm not active with them right now because of the way that I've shifted my lead sources around, but I've been considering starting a team at some point, and that certainly would be one of my first calls to set up lead sources for other agents that would work for me.
If you had to think of one thing that took you from 5 million to 46 million, what would be the most important thing?
For myself, outside looking in, on paper, I've had an unbelievable run so far. Over 250 homes in 6 years is pretty wild considering my age and the time that I've been in the business. But I don't think it's particularly because of me. My number one mentor in my entire life, and especially in business, has been Andy Frisella. He's the owner of First Form, MFCEO podcast, now the Operator Standard. Just a good guy, a hardworking guy who came from nothing and now he's a billionaire, but just a regular dude. And that's how I look at myself. So one thing that he always says is, it's not you that's special. It's not you. It's the actions you take every day that produce special results, right? So for me, again, like I mentioned earlier, I'm not an overly sophisticated, polished guy. I'm not the smartest person in the world. But what I do is I dedicate myself to my craft every day. I stay focused. I work really hard for me, for my family, and my business and my clients. And I just am a student of the game. And that's business, real estate, sales. And I always have been ever since I was, reading Donald Trump sales books and Grant Cardone podcasts back as a freshman when all my buddies were out partying. I've just been a student of the game, and I've been so focused on sales and business and personal growth and mindset my whole life. And that, paired with the ability to build skills and get better and improve and learn this business, all that is combined to help me get where I am today. But it's just a lot of hard work. I just come from central Pennsylvania, small farm town, and that work ethic is what I bring to the table.
Hey, you're humble, but you work hard. You're a likable guy. I like what you're pitching here. And by the way, how old are you?
I'm 30. I'll be 31 next month.
I'm quite impressed. I was doing my math on your different jobs. I'm like, shit, he might be like around 30, and that sounds about right. So what's the hardest lesson that your first year in real estate taught you?
The lesson first year is that if you don't close deals, you don't make money and you don't eat, Coming from my previous careers, there was always a base salary, 50,000 and then 70,000 were the two bases I had. In real estate, it's zero. And not to mention, you don't get any benefits. There's nothing. You're 1099. If you sell nothing, your income is $0 that year. So when I quit my job in December of 2019, no paycheck until May 2020, and it was $3,300 pre-tax, pre-expense. Fortunately, I made pretty good money that first year and then it took off from there. But that's the reality. You get into real estate, it's all fun and games and dancing in houses and closing photos on Instagram, and it's fun, and it is, but the reality is it takes a lot of work to get there, and if you don't sell, you make no money.
What's more stressful, a slow month or too many deals at once?
Slow month 1,000 times. I mean, when I got into this business, again, sitting in my house with no money and no clients, I'm like, I don't know what I got to do, but if I am blessed to have a successful business, I promise I will never, ever complain about it. I would rather have 20 deals where my CRM is overloaded with tasks and I'm falling behind and I've got to stay up till 3 a.m. I would rather have that as my problem and have the opportunities in front of me than sitting there stressed with no deals, no money, nothing coming in every day of the week and twice on Sunday.
You have a consistent, presence, TikTok and Instagram. A lot of agents talk about that. We rarely see consistency from people. How do you structure your time for videos and online presence?
It's a really good question. I mean, it's cool because I've built a pretty cool little social following. It's not huge, but it's very genuine and I connect well with people. What I learned about social media early on was funny because it's from Dan Bilzerian, who's a complete degenerate. But what he said one time that was impactful, he was like, I don't make content for content. I live my life and I document the process, right? Because if you sit around trying to make content, well, now that's a full-time job and that's going to be really difficult. But for me, I just live a good life. I have a lot of fun doing it. I work really hard and I just document my day-to-day and what I do in my stories and in my posts and in my videos. And I just share my life online. If you live an interesting life and you share it, people will watch it and they'll be bought in. Just living a good life that's entertaining and real and genuine and documented along the way, that takes the workload out of it.
Do you track ROI from social, or is it just part of a cohesive strategy? Looking back, do you have numbers of, hey, last year I think I attribute this many deals to social? How do you look at it?
It's more the latter. It's not a straightforward thing. Everything in real estate is more of an art than a science for sure. I think that with social media, how do you quantify staying top of mind with all your clients and staying in touch with everybody where they send you 20 referrals and you make a couple $100,000 from that? Is it directly from social media or is it everything else? I don't know, but it definitely helps. I'm more of a guy where I just do everything that I do look at the results every year, and I'm like, I'm just going to keep doing that. Now I certainly have gotten deals directly from social media. I just closed one for 1.1 in Fairfax that was purely from a social media follower referral. I had one for 1.7 last year that was also cold lead from social media. But overall, I'm just firing on all cylinders, and whatever happens, happens. Don't know if that's the right way to do it, but that's what I do.
Hey, I'll tell you, I'm a big believer in this. For example, we spent a lot of time and effort on our website and the brand and look and the feel. And people are like, well, why do you do that? What is it the use of it? It's like, well, sure, there might not be an ROI to it necessarily, but it does go into a brand, a feeling you get when you come to our website. Like certain types of people want to work with other types of people. And then randomly, we had this prop tech company who was like, I checked out your website for an hour last night. I want to partner with you. It's like, I had no idea that would ever happen. But, there's certain things where it's like, if you don't do it, you're never going to know if it works. But if you try everything and you make everything great and consistent, you'd be surprised there is ROI to some things that technically probably shouldn't have an ROI.
Yeah, you guys have done a really good job with your branding. Everybody, when they say Allied, I instantly think the dark colors, the cool offices, the fun, the vibes. Like you guys have done a really good job of that for sure. And every closing I've done, I'm probably like 4, 5, 6 of them in the past couple of years at Allied. It's always been a really good experience. And the offices I'm always like, oh, this will be a fun one because we're going to Allied. So
I appreciate you saying that. And that's the goal, right? And so, and I even appreciate you saying the dark colors and the blue pop and stuff like that. Like, that we actually work on that stuff. So good to know it slowly works.
100%.
You've heard a lot, or we've heard a lot about, make sure you're a smart buyer as you're looking at the market. What are you seeing in today's market for successful buyers? What are they doing in order to get the house they want?
I think the best buyers are fully prepared with everything they need up front, and they also keep the big picture in mind. What I mean by that is up front, obviously, step one is connect with your realtor, talk about criteria, but also get a really strong pre-approval. Now, it's not just throw your information in, I'll have a pre-approval, we're good. It's like, no, you told me you want to buy up to $700,000 in Loudoun County, get your pre-approval with my lender, and then let's pull 3 properties that would be similar to what you want, send them to him, and let's get numbers in front of you. So before we even go see a home, they've got the price of the home, the monthly payment line itemed out, the cash to close out of pocket, which is both your down payment and your closing costs. And then everything is there on one piece of paper. So they're fully prepared and comfortable. That way, when we're looking at homes, we're already good. We're locked in. The numbers aren't a question. They're ready to write offers. They're ready to close deals. And then in terms of big picture, it's understanding that, hey, you might have to be really aggressive on this home to win. You might be the most expensive buy in the neighborhood. If it makes sense to do so, do it, because the end of the day, a dollar is a dollar. But over the course of 3, 5, 10 years, you're going to be in this home. Is a $10,000, $20,000 swing right now gonna matter if you love this home for you and your family in 5, 10 years? It's really not. It's not. I'm not saying waste money, but keep the big picture in mind always. That's what the best buyers do, is they understand that, and they know to trust me and be aggressive when we need to. And they know that if they trust me, I will always genuinely take care of them.
Hi, we did a little research. We found close to 200 5-star reviews about you online. Is there a process to that? Obviously, all those reviews are real and are authentic, but is there a process you also utilize to get your clients to share their experience?
Yeah, I mean, up front, when I connect with a new lead, I send them my reviews to help build that trust and just, relationship right away. But the way that I get those reviews that I have is every single client of mine, we're so close now because they know how much work I put into each and every one of them during the transaction, right? I care, I'm there. If I'm not there, I send good agents. They always feel like, even though Taylor's busy, he's doing all this stuff, he really cares and we can unequivocally trust him. And then when we have a successful transaction, they're always happy to write me a review, and the way that I phrase it is, hey, don't spend more than 5 minutes on it, but this really does go a long way for helping me, my business, and my family. So I'd really appreciate anything you can share. And, they know that I want to make them succeed. And in turn, that helps me succeed. So it's really a win-win.
I like it. For those out there that want to work with you, what's the best way to find you online?
The best way to find me is on Instagram. It's at @TTolbert_. If you just Google Taylor Tolbert Realtor, Instagram, it'll pop right up. I've got like 2,500 followers, so not a huge following, but I'm working on growing that. But I'm active on there every single day. I tell this to my prospects and clients too. It's like my entire life is online, and that includes my business, my personal, and my family. I've got 2 little kids, one on the way. Been with my wife more time in my life than I didn't know her at this point. Met in high school, so everything is on there. And again, I think connecting with people is my strength, so I'm an easy guy to find.
I like it. Have you ever considered adding people to your team? I mean, I feel like a lot of agents might watch this and say, I want to work with that guy or learn from that guy. Is that something you've considered? And if so, if agents want to work with you, is that something they can inquire about?
Yeah, there's no opportunities yet, but it is something that I'm definitely thinking about in the next couple of years, possibly starting a team. I think as I've matured over the years, both personally, professionally, and just in general. I think that as I've learned this business, now I can offer some guidance. Now I have value to provide. I think it's coming at some point. So stay tuned.
Hey, dude, I am really impressed with what you pulled off. It was great catching up with you. I think the information is super useful and helpful to all agents. What I loved about the mastermind with you and with a lot of agents is you guys are willing to share what works for you, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I really appreciate it. It's been a really, really fun run so far. I've been blessed beyond my dreams, that's for sure. But again, it's not you that's special, it's the actions you take. So for me, every day I just wake up, put the time in, continue to get better, focus on my clients, my craft, and my life, and we'll see what happens, see if we can keep it going.
I like it, man. Well, hey, thanks so much for coming on. Look forward to seeing you around town.
All right, brother. Thanks for having me.